Hello everybody, it's Foxy speaking, and this is another episode of the most recommended YouTubers for 2024. Certainly has it been a great while since I last did an episode of the most recommended YouTubers for 2024, but in this very episode, this one will be representing one special man, or a special couple, and one special couple only. This special couple I am representing as none other than that of Dave and Sally Abel. Honestly, I really should have represented them to be in episode 1, but I thought Graham the Baron Hesketh, or Captain Graham the Baron Hesketh, would have been the suitable candidate for being the first YouTuber to be, or Graham and Fiona, to be the first couple, YouTubing couple, to be represented in the first episode. But second couple, in my personal opinion, I truly believe one of the most recommended YouTubers for 2024 should be Dave and Sally Abel. I've been following Dave and Sally since April of 2020, and I have just not left their side since then. They are a great source of entertainment. Certainly were they a fantastic source of entertainment throughout the 2020 and 2021 calendar years, and certainly throughout 2022 and 2023. And they're still a fantastic source of entertainment as of now in 2024, should chance allow for them to represent their fun, inspirational entertainment whenever they do so, and all the rest of things, you know. And one of the funniest things, or one of the most incredible things, little could I have expected this you're going to know September time, September 2023, it was one live stream and I was late for it. I came in quite a lot later, and we were talking. There was some things being spoken about, and then Dave, there was a slight silence of pausing for a moment, and then Dave was like, "So Foxy, I've been looking at a couple of your videos, and I used to be a train spotter when I was a young lad. And who was this guy? Was it Ian Allen? Was it Ian Allen? And then that's when I stepped in and I said, I have one of Ian Allen's books. And Dave was like, that's right. Is it Ian Allen? Yes. So yeah, he was the big guy in trains in my youth. Well, as truth has things, for those of you who do follow Dave and Sally who didn't know of Ian Allen, yes, it is true that Ian Allen was a huge rail enthusiast in not only Dave and Sally's youth, but also he was a big rail enthusiast in my grandmother's youth, and as well my late grandfather Edmund's youth as well, just to say. And I do have one of Ian Allen's books, that is completely true, I do have one of his books, you know. And it was quite funny in a way. And it was only within a few short weeks to then, over time, towards the end of the 2020 calendar year, sometime after Dave mentioned that I provide content, quite a great few others from Dave and Sally's content ended up following came over to my content. And oh hello, and Foxy, hello, I follow Dave and Sally, just to say, that's how I know of you and how I've come to your content. It was quite impressive, really, and I was certainly not expecting it, but you know, it's happened now. I'm all right with it. And honestly, and through Dave and Sally, I've made some wonderful, wonderful new friends. It's not just friends within the United Kingdom. I've made friends around the world because of Dave and Sally, and some of my, certainly, oh my goodness, this friend, I couldn't be more I'm trusting of all of my friends from who I've befriended and made throughout Dave and Sally's community, or the Abel community, within their very confines of their content. But this friend of mine who said, it's because of you, is that I have many friends, but because of you I've now got friends all around the world now. But this friend who said it really is a special lady who really means a lot to me as a friend. Not in a way I would have a romantic connection with. I would never go that far with her. And also she's quite a few years older than I am. And she's got a grown-up son, so it probably wouldn't go terribly well. But the one who said that, she truly means an awful lot. And that was a very nice thing she had to say to them, as it truly, her quote when she said it, it truly epitomised, and she, how important it is to be good to your friends. And she really does represent the epitome of an extraordinary lady who is a good friend. Well, in truth, she does represent the epitome of a good friend on an extremely large scale, if I may pinpoint those things, But in terms of this very friend, honestly, well, really, I think I've skipped a little far ahead, but over time, I didn't straight away interact with other people who partook in the live streams or other confines of the content Dave and Sally did. But over time, I began to interact with other people. And this is where I met one wonderful new friend of mine. I did give those examples before about her, but I'm more than happy to run through it again. Well, this friend of mine, well, once, one live stream back in September of 2020, she, as a teenager, she got into modelling as a teenager, because I think I did re-watch that live stream, and she said in that live stream, I enjoy being tall, and when I was younger I made great money modelling whilst in high school. Being tall is fabulous, which is what she said. And then Dave was like, okay, I think we need to see photographs, please. I think in referral to her, into her time when she was modelling during her time in high school. Well, high school in Canada would be college over here in the United Kingdom. That's what we would call it. There's a slight difference to what referral we'd call it. But impressively, she did, as far as what I saw, she impressively got into modelling as a teenager. And then I could remember some time later, when I first heard her say that, it reminded me of what a friend of mine, well, a friend of my grandmother's, a friend of my grandparents, what she said to me when I first learned of Heather modelling in her youth. Because she thought I was good looking enough to be a model. And then I remember speaking to my mother about it, and my mother said, you wouldn't be tall enough to model. And I was like, oh, why's that? I was like, lovely Jean said that I was good looking enough to be a model. Well, I was back then. I was, maybe then I probably was, but I don't have the height for it, I'm afraid. I'd probably be too big now to do it. Because back then, when lovely Jean said I could have modelling potential, I only weighed 130 pounds back then, which is the equivalent of 9 stone, 4 pounds. But since then, I've put on another 24 pounds of weight, which is 154 pounds, which is a full 11 stone. And plus I'm only 5'8" in height, and my height wouldn't be sufficient enough for male modelling. If I were to be a model, I would have to be either 5'11" at the very shortest, or anything over 6 foot. And I'd probably have to be about 140, 147 pounds probably, to be an ideal, suitable candidate for modelling. So sadly, modelling's out of the roof for me, and it's out of the question for me because I'm not the right height for it. I remembered speaking to my mother about it, and that's what she said. But in the case of my wonderful friend, however she got into modelling, well, I think is what she did tell me, or what she said, that live stream, she was what, considerably taller than average for a college, for a high school teenage girl, for her age, considerably taller than average for a girl of her age. And then from that point, she got into modelling, which she did in her free time as she was in high school when she enrolled in it. You know, I mean, if I'm not representing misinformation, that is, you know, so I think she did tell me she was more than the right height for modelling, which would be taller than that of my height, actually. Because for a female to get into modelling, you'd have to be either 5'9" or anything taller than that. You know, and obviously she was in that range as far as I'm certain, well, or still is in that range as far as I'm aware. She was obviously of the suitable height for modelling, which, I mean, it's not, you know, I don't go against it. I mean, it's good for her. She was the right height for modelling. And there we are. In she went for modelling. You know, but I imagine it was a brilliant experience, you know. In a way, as far as what her comment represented, it seemed as though she got ripped into it. You know, it was fantastic. Well done for her. I mean, I don't represent jealousy for it, I really don't. I'm actually very happy that she made this sort of achievement, you know, and I'm quite celebrated for her in a way for it. You know, and then later in life she gave birth to a nice son who's gone on to do wonderful things, as she did tell me. So, and then obviously, much later on in life, she encountered not only Dave and Sally, but then there was myself and Brunsdrop, you know, and Sharon and Tim, Joseph, Elizabeth, Linda, that's Linda Gentile, Louise, and several other wonderful new friends within the Abel community. And this friend of mine, who I'm referring to, by the way, who did modelling during her time in her youth, my wonderful friend's name is Heather. Oh, I think I've mentioned her before quite a great few times, that is. And one thing she did say to me, because it came to the birthday anniversary of my late grandfather Edmund, because when I'd first followed Dave and Sally, my grandfather Edmund, he'd just died at that point. You know, because he died very sadly on, the 18th of February of 2020 at the age of 73, nearly 8 short months shy of his 74th birthday. And because I came to Dave and Sally in April of 2020, so it had been going on for a good 2 months since his saddening death, and just over a month or just under a month since his funeral. And it was over 6 months into following Dave and Sally that I opened up to Dave about the loss of my wonderful late grandfather Edmund, and then represented the wonderful stories he used to share with me, and stories of his childhood, and when he and his older brother Paul, his late older brother Paul, he died too, I'm afraid, a very, very long time ago, so both are sadly no longer with us. When he and his older brother Paul, as little boys, when they used to see steam trains running near the back of their garden of their home residence back in the 1950s. And other interesting stories, and what it was like, and what in the school they had to go to, and the obscure regulations it had, and all that. Those sort of silly things, really, you know. So, I opened up about it to Dave himself. I was just trusting enough to open up about it to Dave, but I wouldn't have opened up about it as much on a live stream, because it would have made me very emotionally invested at the time. And I was just trusting enough to not only share it to Dave, I was just trusting enough to open this up with lovely Heather as well, you know. So, I couldn't have shared it with other people at the time. You know, for me, I had to wait a little bit before I could share it on a live stream or individually with other friends of mine, as opposed to just sharing it with Dave and Sally and Heather themselves, you know. or otherwise it would have made me too emotionally invested, sadly, because the loss of Edmund, it deeply devastated both myself and my family. But there was a moving saying, I'm never going to forget this in a lifetime, what lovely Heather said to me. This endearing philosophy she's possessed in herself, and if I could read it out, what she said to me was, people can die, but we do hold our memories forever in our hearts and minds. And there was another new friend of mine, through Dave and Sally I encountered. I even opened up to her. I was eventually trusting enough to her about opening up about the loss of my wonderful Edmund, my wonderful late grandfather Edmund. And she said, strength is within the memories, and that was very endearing too. You know. And honestly, lovely Heather will always have a place in my heart after sharing that endearing philosophy of hers. Really, she will. And I mean that. I don't take her for granted at all, nor do I take Dave and Sally or my other friends within the Abel community. I really don't take them for granted. I particularly don't take Sharon and Tim, Joseph, Louise, Elizabeth, and all the other friends I've had the good fortune to have befriended for granted at all. I do think very, very fondly of them. And I do think very much of them, even if we don't interact regularly together. And even if we don't interact regularly together, I'll always have them very, very much in my thoughts, particularly that of lovely Heather. You know, as I may or may not have said before, certainly have I made many friends within Dave and Sally's community, you know, and am I trusting of many, but there's one friend who I couldn't love or be more trusting to than anybody other than Heather. Honestly, she really is truly something, and I mean that. Truly something extremely of an extraordinarily special lady. And I mean this as a compliment and not representing anything sinister, saying all of that, you know. What she shared with me once really meant the world most sincerely to me, even if it didn't help me completely overcome the loss of my wonderful late grandfather Edmund. It truly meant the world sincerely to me, and I'm always thankful towards her for it. I would die for Heather. I would stand up to her for anything. Really, I would. Because on one live stream, it was her birthday, and then Dave, well, he wasn't being serious, but she said, I think it was something like, oh, Sally, you're my hero, something like that. And then Dave was like, okay, well, I think we should block Heather. And I was like, oh, come on. What has Heather done to upset you? Well, I sort of knew, half a side of me knew Dave wasn't being serious, but another side I thought Dave really meant he was going to block Heather. And I stepped in, trying to stand up as all I truly meant to do, and I said, what has Heather done to upset you? Which I said numerous times. I was truly meaning to stand up for her at that point. And then Sally was the one who said, Heather has done absolutely nothing, we were pulling her leg. And then Dave was like, no, Heather, it's her birthday and she deserves a special treat, so let's block her. Let's block her for, say, 12 months maybe, you know. But realising eventually he was not being serious, he ended up saying, no, it's great that you can spend your birthday with your son and that he's done something good for you, which he did, and no, all of us were happy when we heard that. Really, we were, even me, particularly, even if... Why did I not wish her a happy birthday early enough back in 2020? Think, you know, it was only a year later where I really began to represent my birthday wishes towards her, nearer the time to her birthday. You know, it's just still the guilt I've got. Oh no. Never mind, you know. But one of the other extraordinary things Dave and Sally have done, and honestly, they went through a dreadful time in February of 2022, was they lost their wonderful dog Honey. Oh, Honey was everything to them, and she was also nearly everything to all of us who followed Dave and Sally, within their community. Honey always represented a great light of happiness and excitement amongst all of us, and Pud represents a great light of excitement towards all of us who follow Dave and Sally. I mean this truly, truly, with every word I say, representing it, you know. And another one of the extraordinary qualities Dave and Sally have represented are sometimes their occasional cookery videos, which used to be sometimes live cooking videos going via live stream and all that. And it was good. The only drawback was trolling whenever it happened, much to Dave's complete annoyance. And oh goodness, ouch, goodness, aching bones. Some will ridicule me for saying this. Or whether it was just in a videography form, live stream form or videography form and all that, you know. And sometimes they would share their political opinions from time to time. And, what else? They would always share their intentions, saying should their health allow, they'd want to do this, want to do that, and all those wonderful kinds of things. And they'd also share some very good stories amongst all of us. You know, wonderful family stories and all the rest of things, you know. So yes, of course. So, and they also eventually met. Louise Hayward, and one of the other good moments of encountering Dave and Sally was encountering my good new friend Bill, who we had the good fortune of meeting up in person together, and that was brilliant. And I'd also had the good fortune of encountering, who else was it? Lovely Cara from Ireland, Emma from Ireland, Emma Faraday, lovely Emma Faraday. I think she was the first one who said hello to me once, and it was only eventually I began to say hello to her. And also Eileen, lovely Eileen, in Birmingham. Honestly, wonderful lady she is. And all that. So yes. And brilliant friends. Brilliant, wonderful friends from Dave and Sally's community. And I must say, Dave and Sally, we very, very much appreciate you, and certainly I certainly appreciate you, and indeed do I always enjoy all the content you provide for us most sincerely. And even if we don't interact as regularly now as we used to compared to 3-4 years ago, I still have both of you very, very much in my thoughts. All of us have you very, very much in your thoughts. Particularly myself, and almost certainly likely that of lovely Heather, Sharon and Tim, Joseph, Elizabeth, Louise, Kira, Elizabeth, Eileen. Oh, and another one I'm missing out, Marie and Alan Cliff as well. All of us very, very much have you in our thoughts. And I certainly mean that most sincerely, in all due respectability and all the rest of things, you know. And I certainly do believe that both of you deserve to be one of the most recommended YouTubers for 2024. I certainly mean that, with all due respectability. But thanks everybody indeed for watching. And the link to Dave and Sally's channel will be found in the description below. Thanks all indeed for watching, and I shall certainly all see you in the very next video. Ta-ta, another time. From Foxy. Dave and Sally, both of you are wonderful, and one more time, if I may represent one last time, we all, certainly do I appreciate you, but we all appreciate you, and whatever your future endeavours may be, good luck to you both. Even if we don't communicate regularly, Still, certainly will I always have you both very, very much in my thoughts, as will all of us within the Abel community.